Sampling opens up a whole world of creativity, but it's easy to get caught in the lo-fi and boom-bap genres. It's a ton of fun to make music in those genres, but sampling can be a whole lot more than that. And in today's video, we're gonna flip a single sample in 3 different genres using 3 different methods to see how flexible a single sound can be. I'm thinking as of now, we'll do some house, drum and bass, and then ambient. And you'll see why I'm choosing ambient with that 3rd method. I'll be using the SP404 for this, but any sampler or DAW will work. And if you're looking to get any new gear, I have affiliate links in the description. It helps the channel a ton. But let's check out these one-shots and we'll build a sample and then flip it a few different ways. All right, so here we are on the SP. I've got a few different samples. Some are from a Warp Juno60. And then I've got this pitch down, lo-fi piano vibe. And then I've also got these drums. These are from a TR505. And I made a whole beat using these samples in this video up here. It's a live stream. It's a bit of a lo-fi house vibe. And we're gonna use that song as the sample that we're gonna flip today. So if you wanna see how the song was made, check out that video. But let me show you the sound. So this is the song we're gonna use. There's also this version with the Behringer MS1 bass. So basically what I'm gonna do is copy these patterns onto a pad. It's a new thing you can do on the 3.0 update. So I think we'll do a couple because I'm basically considering this whole set of patterns as one song, but I'm only gonna chop up a few sections of it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get this first one and we're gonna hit the pattern with copy. Then we're gonna get out of pattern select, go to an empty bank. We'll go to H and we'll put that one there. And it takes a second. So we've got the one without the bass and we got the one with bass. Let's start flipping it. Okay, so the first method is a universal practice for beat making, and that is chopping a sample, rearranging it, and using repitch. Repitch is a producer's best friend for changing the vibe of a track. Let me show you what I mean. So we've got this track, right? Let me shut off that reverb. So what we're gonna do first is choose this one and we're gonna go to Shift Chop. If you throw a sample into a DAW sampler, it should do this, but there's ways to set where the transients are. What we're gonna do is hit Menu, go to Auto Mark, and we're gonna use Time Division and do 16. And we're just gonna hit Enter. And now we've got the sample, let me see if I can zoom in, chopped up based on the time, but we set this time to BPM, so everything's right. But you can, of course, adjust all of that manually. But here's the marks. So from here, even if you don't change the pitch or the tempo, you can get a lot of cool sounds. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind when you're working with these chops, if you're using a sample that has drums in it, you either need to account for those drums in the chops you're making or do some effects to get out some of those drums if you're going to add drums on top of it. And the final thing you can do, and I've covered this fully in this video, is use AI to remove the drums from the sample. It feels like magic, but trust me, it works. It's awesome. I highly suggest checking it out. So let's go back to these chops. First, what we're going to do is actually, I want to do drum and bass for this one, so I'm gonna pitch it up. And you can hear it already kind of works for drum and bass because it moved it to 168 BPM. So again, this to that. From there, let's see if the chop stayed. So now you can hear there are still drums, so we have to figure that out. But let's lay down some drums for this drum and bass track first, and then we'll go from there. All right, let's get some hi-hats. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's see what we can do about some samples. Let's go back. Okay, so I showed a little bit of the process and then this is the final bit that I made. Let's check it out. And we're gonna clean it up a bit. I'm gonna add a filter to get out some of the drums from that sample. And then over here, we're gonna add some time delay because that gives those drums a little bit more of that drum and bass craziness. And then I'm also going to add some reverb to everything and 303 to compress it. And if we wanted to, we could even add some noise. So from that original house track, let me play it again for you. This was the original track, right? Let's check out what we made. I'm gonna add that delay back, the filter, and let's go back. Here we go. But that's just a quick way. I mean, look at how different we took that sample. We went from lo-fi house into drum and bass with just a few tricks, just repitching, chopping it up, and rearranging the sounds. And we got this crazy thing. Now, if you're on a computer or taking more time to do this properly for a release, one thing I would do is on that original sample, I would use high pass and low pass to get out some of the kick and a little bit of the high end of the snare and hi-hats and things like that. That will clean it up a little bit when you're doing this mix and adding drums on top of it. It's something to consider. Also, I wouldn't put delay on the kick like I have. That's just a function of this. I would have the kick maybe in a separate bus, or if you're on a DAW, just put a delay on everything but the kick. All right, so now we talked about rearranging. Let's talk about a great way to create completely new instruments from any sound you've ever heard. So for this example, I'll be using this whole sample, but this could work with a small segment of a track, a single note from something. But basically what you're gonna do is find something you want to make an instrument out of, and then you're just gonna either use chromatic mode on the SP404 or throw it into a sampler in a DAW and transpose it across the piano roll of that sampler. So what happens is a single sound gets pitched across the whole spectrum of notes through multiple octaves, and you have a whole new instrument to explore. So let's find a little section that we like. I think right at the start, first I'm gonna copy this so we have it. I really like that first section. If we just skip the drum maybe, and let's just go to the end point, change that up a bit. All right, that should work. So we're gonna take that, and I'm gonna put on a filter. Get some resonance on it. So we're taking down a lot of the high end, but the resonance adds a little bit of a peak to it, so it adds some high end back. That should work. And I'm putting some lo-fi on it too. Let's see what that sounds like. Let's resample that in. Wow, there's a lot of clickiness at the start. But what we can do still, because I want this to be not so percussive. So now let's just throw this note into chromatic mode. Now let's just get a pattern on H. Let's do some house. So we'll set it to 123, let's say, and we'll just add some drums. Okay, I played that really sloppy, but the quantize saved it right there. Let's put it in rehearsal. There, got that chromatic run. All right, now we just add some. And let's try a little delay. Again, for reference, we took this track at 112 BPM, and without even repitching or anything like that, we made this. I love this method because you can take any sound. If you hear a guitar, if you hear a synth, if you hear something really cool in a track, or even a collection of sounds in a track like what we did here, you can make this new instrument that sounds nothing like anything else. So now let's get into the final method, and this is a bit of a bizarre one. We're really going away from the whole beat making aspect. I've just got to switch everything because it requires another piece of gear, so see you in a second. All right, so we're on the last method for today, and that is creating ambient soundscapes and background noises by stacking reverbs, delays, and Paulstretch. Paulstretch is a long time stretching algorithm that can take a normal song or a normal sample and turn it into one of those 10-hour YouTube sleepy time videos. And there's a few different ways you can do it. I'm using a free app called Paulstretch. I believe it's also on iOS and Windows. And let me show you the sample that I have in there. And then we can turn that by just hitting stretch amount, and I've stretched it a massive amount into this long ambient drone. Already it sounds pretty cool, and you can do some filtering. There's a bunch of other stuff you can do. I have a full video on my channel breaking this down. The link will be in the description if you want to see it. But we're just gonna take that intro sound and make a few different copies of it using a few different effects. I made a few and my camera died, so I have them already, but I'll just show you one of them. We have 5 effects on the SP using input effect and then the 4 buses. If you're using a DAW, you can do whatever you want with these. And other samplers may have more or less, but we'll just use this. And so I'm gonna go and get some 404 vinyl noise because I like to have a little texture underneath the sample. Then on bus 1, we'll add some SX reverb with the tone down. You can already hear it's reverbing the vinyl sim. And then on 2, I'm gonna put some filter. And then over here on bus 3 and 4, I'm gonna change cassette sim to tape delay because that'll give it some real warped nice sound, tape echo. And so let's hear how that sounds now. So I actually already recorded that sound on 2. Nice and lush. Now for 1, what I did was instead of tape echo on bus 3, I did ring modulator. Not something I normally work with, but check this out. Listen to that. It's like all warped and delayed and weird sounding. You can mess with polarity and get some real nasty sound. Depending on how like destroyed and trippy you want it. I actually might record this in. But yeah, that's ring mod. And so let me get out of ring mod so that we're not blasted with that when we play it a second time. So here's what that one sounded like. I actually pitched it down. Let me put it back up. So I like that. And then you have that one too. I actually really like this ring mod one. And drop down an octave. It's so gorgeous. Just think in the background, you know, we can shut off that external source. Let's set up a loop with this. All right, so we're just gonna set this drone in the background and play some of those Juno60 sounds on top of it. I'm actually going to separate bus 1 and 2 because I want to do some filtering on that Juno sound. So let's just start with the volume down. I'm gonna turn the drone on and we'll play a little ambient exploration. So there's 3 of my favorite methods for flipping samples. They work with any style of beat making, but these 3 specifically I find are really helpful when working outside of the typical boom bap and lo-fi type sounds. There's nothing wrong with making music that way. I love doing music like that. A lot of this channel is doing that, but like I said at the start, sampling is so much more than just that type of music. You can do it with anything, and it's fun to sample yourself like we did today, make a new song and then chop it up and do something different. And I'd like to know your thoughts. Would you think that those 3 songs we made today come from that single sample? I'm curious, and let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more of how I incorporate these methods and a few others in my own beat making, check out this video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.